this is starting to sound like a broken record, but we know that retail businesses have to buy inventory or stuff from wholesalers. The idea of the stuff is one thing, but more so what it costs us at the time of sale. And when prices are all over the map, jumping around, the question is, what cost do we apply to a sale? And there's 4 ways to look at this. Come on, is this not going to work? There's 4 methods, or 4 valuation methods. Of the 4, specific identification is rarely used. It's more of like a car dealership that knows that $90,000 red Corvette really truly costs that much. It's not like we've got 50,000 red Corvettes sitting around. Yesterday we really honed in on first in, first out, meaning not necessarily the stuff, but the costs associated with the first things that came in. First in deals with the oldest prices. Last in deals with our most recent prices. And then average cost. I truly only want to focus on FIFO today. We talked about it yesterday. We're going to talk about it a little bit more today, and then we're going to try it. It feels very backwards because we first have to figure out what's still here. And so that's the backwards part. You might think, well, first in, first out, perfect. It's dealing with what we first got, our oldest stuff, but you actually have to start with our shush or the newest stuff that's still here. And then of course it's all reversed for LIFO. So that's why I really want you to understand FIFO first before we completely turn the tables and flip it all around. So first in, first out means we've sold which ones? What have we sold? What's gone? The oldest stuff or the newest stuff? The oldest. The oldest is gone. The newest is shush or still here. And I think this slide really paints that picture nicely. I like this slide because it's pertaining to the values, not the stuff. You know, if I go back, here's the stuff. We had 100 and then we bought another 200 and 300 and 400. Okay, so 100, 200. I'm going to leave that one for a minute. Of the oh, I put that on the wrong one. So that's the value. This is the stuff. I bought 100, 200, 300, 400. What's unique about this 300? Some of it's sold. And some of it's shush, still here. So if we look at the stuff, that's the breakdown, and the value of the stuff. That's the whole purpose of this valuation of inventory. What's it costing us to have it gone or collecting dust on the shelves? In times of rising prices, which is the case here, my first units I bought at 10 bucks a piece and the price went up $1 each time. In times of rising prices, we're going to have a higher net income with FIFO because the stuff, the oldest stuff, was cheaper. The newest stuff that's still sitting around is more expensive. And you could also look at that from a, well, that's not really good to have really expensive stuff still sitting around. And so we're going to analyze all of this in the coming week or in the coming days. We're going to tackle this right now together, and then we're going, I'll have you try it on your own, just with FIFO. So we're selling the oldest stuff, or applying the value of the oldest stuff. The most recent stuff is shush or still here. This, let's see. This is a really nice cheat sheet. I'd like you to find that in your notes that I just handed to you. I'm going to give you a step-by-step to-do list as to how to actually tackle this. And then what I'd like to do is in tandem actually crank through our list. So we're going to put the list item here, and then we're going to actually apply it to our problem. So have these 2 pages open. Might not hurt to have a highlighter handy as well. So although you have these exercises 6.4, 5, 6, and I think I've even added 6, 7, all of them have to do with FIFO, LIFO average. We're just going to focus on FIFO. So how do you calculate this? Well, the first thing that you have to do, let's pick my pen colors wisely here. You have to determine I want to make sure I look at it right. Total units or stuff available for sale. A lot of times the problems are going to just, they'll show you that. So in other words, from a stuff or inventory perspective, how much do we even have to sell? And that's fluctuating a lot throughout the course of a fiscal period. We start with some, we maybe buy some, we sell some, we buy some, we sell some, and then there's an ending inventory. Okay, so have this 6.4 handy as well. We're going to write down the step and go do it. Write down another step and go do it. Is that okay? It's gonna just chunk it up a lot better for us. Linda's board sells a snowboard expert. So the snowboard is called expert. That is popular with snowboard enthusiasts. Information related to Linda's purchases of expert boards during September is shown below. During the same month, 120 boards were sold. That's a key thing that we might need later. I would maybe circle that. Circle 121 sold. Thank you. So going back to number 1, how many units do we have available for sale right now? 141. They told us that. Is that stuff or the value of the stuff? Stuff. Let's go back. We did number 1. Number 2 is determine the cost available for sale. Determine cost available for sale. Now all of a sudden I see evaluation. And I think that is the most confusing part of the chapter. Are we talking stuff or values? Well, it's important to know both. So let's figure out the value of the stuff. Did they do the math for us? They did. The value of all the stuff is $14,442. Now the reason I put those two on a to-do list, sometimes you're not going to have all of this. Sometimes all you'll have is this little chunk. And you would actually take 26 times $97 equals 45 things times $102. Sometimes you're going to have to crank all of that out. So that's why I put it on your to-do list, because it's not going to always be this easy. Imagine now a warehouse or a store with 141 expert snowboards, and the dollar amount attached to them from what they had to buy to get them there, $14,442. Are we going to sell them for a lot more? Yes. Does that part seem easy? Good. Let's add to our to-do list. Number 3, we need to figure out units, or in other words, stuff, sold. I'm going to switch pen colors. This stuff is gone. To who? Customers. There we go. And circle the S of sold. Remember, we're going to toggle between what's sold and what's shush, or still here. I'm going to put number 4 on the list just while we're talking about it. Number 4, we also need to figure out units or stuff still here. Shush. That's the stuff is not gone. Rather, it's still in our inventory. It's still on the sales floor. Sorry, that's getting kind of hard to read. Or in the warehouse. Sorry. The inventory, whether it's out on the sales floor, in a warehouse, in the back storage room. In either case, we have to assign values to these. It's just that we got to figure out what's still here. How do we know what's still here and what's gone? Someone has to count it. Whether, during downtime, okay, whether that is all electronically via barcode or someone literally is counting, okay? So let's go back here. We know we have 141 available. Let's maybe put available right here. Minus and then equals. Minus what is sold equals what's still here. How many did we sell? 121. I need a tiny pen, hang on. We sold 121. What's shush? 20 is still here. Sometimes they'll give you shush. Sometimes they'll say, there are 20 snowboards still in stock. And then you'd, of course, flip-flop all of that. But I like to put the S and the SH there just so I can remember, okay, what's gone and what's still here. Back to our list. You would probably never see this in the book, but and we've already done it, I want you to mark S and SH. So what's sold and what's still here. When we're looking at FIFO, the oldest sold, the newest is still here. And when we're looking at LIFO, it's all flipped. The newest stuff is what's sold. The oldest stuff is what's sitting on the shelves. This whole top section, number two is dealing with dollar amounts, but above this line all pertains to the stuff, the snowboards in this case. Below the line has to do with the value of the stuff. So in other words, what did it cost to sell it? So number 6, we're going to calculate the cost first of shush. This is where things feel backwards, and I'd maybe put that here. Things will feel backwards. And I've had students even the day of a test be like, FIFO's the old stuff. Why do I start with the new stuff? Because it feels backwards. We got to figure out what's still here to gather what the cost of what's gone. So let's do number 6. This is where we're actually having to crank out some numbers. We're only going to focus on FIFO this morning. We're going to go really slow. Calculate the cost. So again, notice it's called cost of goods shush and cost of goods sold. So again, top portion is stuff, bottom portion is value or dollar amount. Well, how many things do we still have here? 20. Again, let's get a tiny pen here. 20 at, the stuff still here, using FIFO. First in is the stuff that's gone, is the first out. So the oldest stuff is still here. What value are we going to place on the 20 things that are still here? Say it again. 105 equals, it's not 5250, it's 2100. Hold the show. The oldest stuff, or excuse me, the newest stuff, we bought 50. Why are we only valuing 20? We sold a lot. We sold a lot of them. So if I had to come up here and put S and SH, you know, there's only 20 here. How many of that 50 purchase did we actually sell? 30, and then 20, and then 45, and 26, which miraculously would add up to 121. So if you like doing it that way, kind of like the truck example and warehouse example from the PowerPoint, if you like seeing where the number split is, great. It's also a nice way to see that, you know, here, 20 matches up here, and 26, 45, 20, and 30 matches up there. You see that, where those numbers came from? It's a nice way to double check your numbers if you're worried about them not adding up. Okay, so that's the cost of stuff still here. Now we're going to roll over into the cost of goods that's gone, sold. To do that, we take cost, oh, why is it green? Cost of goods available equals 14,442. You might be like, where'd that number come from? Number 2 on our list. We already calculated that. Cost of goods available minus cost of goods still here that we just calculated, 2,100. Equals cost of goods. What are we trying to look for over here on this side? We've already got it labeled. Sold. Oh, what's our number? 12,342. You just did FIFO. That's a really important step, and we got to go back to our list. We just did number 7. We calculate the cost of stuff sold. So again, above the line has to do with stuff. Below this line, 6 and 7 has to do with the value of the stuff. Number 8. We've only talked about FIFO, LIFO. This is dealing with average cost. We'll come back to that one. That's like after you understand FIFO really good and LIFO really good, then we'll throw average cost at you. Average cost is actually pretty easy. But number 9, so we'll come back to number 8. Number 9, let's go ahead and analyze this. I think a big thing when I'm teaching something kind of hard like this, sweet, I got the number, I'm done. You can walk the walk, you can do it, but tell me why. Tell me the story. That's where the true accounting, you know, management kind of thing comes in. You can do all of this work, but what does it mean? Do you think you could tell me or not? Would you like me to help you? We've bought 141 things, in this case, expert snowboards. To get them here and ready for sale, maybe I got a discount on them because I bought so many. Overall, that inventory cost, so the cost available for sale is $14,442. If I'm using FIFO, whether I'm selling the actual board I bought on the 26th or the 1st, if I'm using FIFO, I'm applying the value of the oldest price. I could be selling the snowboard I just bought on the 26th. The actual, like, here's your snowboard. But the bigger question is, which dollar amount, especially when it changes so dramatically. Like over the month, it changed a lot. And you have to decide which dollar amount will be my cost of goods sold. Dollar sign, dollar sign. Whether I'm selling the board I just bought or not, what value am I placing on it? You back into this backwards. You first have to figure out, well, what's still here? Someone counted the dollar amount of the 20 that are still here, $2,100 sitting here, not in the hands of customers. The value of the 121 that I did sell though, $12,342. Had I done it all reversed, I would have had a way smaller net income because my cost was so expensive. I didn't get to keep as much money. But then Uncle Sam sees that as, oh, you don't have to pay as many taxes on that. So sometimes people will do it that way as a tax savings. We'll get into that with LIFO. Do you think these will all be reversed when we do LIFO? We're still selling the same 121 surfboards, the same 20 boards are still here, but it's all going to be flipped. The cost of goods sold is going to be so much higher, I think. Maybe I'm getting myself, well, it's not a lot, but it's going to be higher because we're selling the more expensive surfboards. I would like you to try this. You have a nice, beautiful cheat sheet now. I would like you to go on to 6.5. What are we selling in 6.5? Sorry, it's kind of fuzzy. What are we selling? We don't even know. We're selling units. Ooh, they sound fun. Okay. So this in 6.5, this company is selling units. We started with 30, bought 25, bought 30. So you've got number 1 and number 2 done. Just work through the same thing as you did on 6.4 and see how you do by yourself. And then I'll show you some answers. Well, I'm going to walk you through it. You guys tell me what to do. Number 1, tell me what to do. I already know number 1 and number 2. Number 1 is figure out how many units are available, figure out the cost of those units available. 1 and 2, done. What's number 3? Could you do it without your cheat sheet? Which one? Units sold. Okay, so they usually tell us. Okay, so what am I going to do with that 65 units in comparison to the 90? Okay, I'm going to first do A equal, A minus, well, give me a equals SH, okay? So 90 minus what did we sell? How many do we still have collecting dust? 25, okay. That's the top part, right? Okay, good. Now that's the stuff. Now we go on to the valuation. We can first figure out, we back in cost of goods shush, cost of goods sold. Okay, it's going to feel really backwards. Why? Why does it feel backwards? We're valuing our oldest stuff, but we've got to back in and figure out our shush first. Sweet. Well, I bought 35 things at 12 bucks a piece. That was my last purchase. Why is it 25, Carrie? Okay. At 12 bucks a piece. I'm not doing my math, so tell me what you got. Okay. So what does that mean? 300 what? What does that mean? Still here. The inventory. Yep. So if someone walked in and said, tell me what the value of your inventory is right now, we'd say $300. And if we have a pretty sophisticated system, we could probably look that up. If we're a little mom and pop shop that would have to like dig through stuff, not as easy. Okay. Uncle Sam wants it pretty transparent though. Okay, I'm going to stop and do this. Out of my 35, what's still here? 25. So 10 plus 25 plus 30 better equals 65. And it does. That's just kind of a, you don't have to do that, but sometimes it's just kind of clarification that, yes, I did that right. All right, so the collecting of the dust is $300. That's the valuation. How many things are collecting dust? 25. Does that mean truly that the May 24th purchases are still here? I might have sold the thing that arrived on May 1st, but I'm valuing the May 24th prices. Okay, and you might say, who cares? What does it matter? Why don't you try to buy stuff the same all month long? If it was the same all month long, FIFO, LIFO, it wouldn't matter because it's all the same. But it does matter, and prices tend to go up. Inflation goes up. Now we can come over to this side and finally figure out, based on FIFO, the first things that we came in were the value. But we have to do a little equation. Cost of goods available. Where do I get that number? 935 minus what I just did over here. Cost of goods shush equals cost of goods sold. The cost of stuff that left. 635. Did I do my math right? Does it seem easy? Good. Can you see though on a test, if you screwed this up, even if you're like really good at FIFO, LIFO, and you just have an off test day, your whole test would be wrong. And I've had that happen before. And students in the past have argued, well, I did my math right. Why should I have this whole page wrong? Because you didn't follow FIFO, LIFO rules. And in accounting, it doesn't matter if you did your math right. We learned on the worksheet, your math can be right and still have errors. So really understanding the difference. On the test, I would never be cruel and flip these. I would never put LIFO first. Because you get in your head, you know, FIFO, LIFO average. Okay. There's time. Why don't you do the next one as well? Why don't you do 6, 6? Wait a minute. Okay, so is it Coletta Company reports? I have writing all over mine, so I can't read it. Coletta reports what? Following. It doesn't. What the heck? I see 800, and I don't know why I'm using 800. It might, you know what might have happened? You know, can you tell I like did a screenshot of the book, and let's just wait for Monday for that. So I'm feeling good about now moving on to LIFO, but it's kind of scary for the 3 people that are not here. Can you imagine jumping into LIFO and you haven't done this yet? So we are going to pause, and it'll be awesome review for you to hear it from me again and to maybe even reteach it again. Not that I'm trying to be lazy about it, but students learn absolutely the best when they can reteach a concept to someone else. So, are we good? All right.